Okay, so this last section is mostly focusing on the importance of using efficient devices. Now, we'll see why that's important as we go through it. So first off, if I'm heating my home, I might be using natural gas to do that. Or if I'm using electric heat, I'm still getting power that was coming from a factory that's probably burning fossil fuels. And so there's something called the heating value of the fuel. And there's two of them. There's a lower heating value and the higher heating value. These are simply how much energy you can get out of a fuel when you burn it. For the lower heating value, it'd be like this. I take air and I take gasoline, I mix them together in here. They go kaboomy. And the kaboominess releases energy. Now, the lower heating value is the minimum amount of energy I'm going to get out for burning 1 kilogram of that fuel. So in this case, for gasoline, I get 44,000 kilojoules for every kilogram of gasoline that I burn. However, we learned a little while ago about something called latent energy. Latent. That means hidden. And that's all stored in when a phase changes. So if I have liquid water and that goes to gas, there is actually energy that's stored just in changing phase, even if they're the same temperature. So this guy right here would have more energy because it's got energy that is latent or hidden just because of its change in phase. So when I burn this fuel, if all of my products are gases, then I still have that latent energy that I haven't grabbed. So the higher heating value is when I take my water, and only the water, that's all we care about, and I make sure that it goes back to being a liquid. And if I do that, I've recovered that last little bit of energy. If you're wondering why not CO2 or nitrogen? Have you ever heard about liquid nitrogen? Like, we use it to freeze stuff. Like, you're not going to be able to condense nitrogen and get that energy out. You're going to use a whole bunch of energy just to do that, because it'll be cooler than atmospheric. You don't want to do that. And if I'm trying to figure out the efficiency of combustion equipment, like maybe a gas burning stove, or a gas hot water heater, or a gas generator, it's all going to be coming based on how much of that heat energy I have is able to do something useful, because not all of it's actually going to get where you want it to go. So we only care about the useful heat delivered, not the full amount that it could have had. Because if I was able to use all of that, well, this would be one. But it's never one, because not all of that energy gets to doing useful things. Some of it's going to expand gases and it's going to leave. Others are going to heat the walls, and that's going to be lost there. It might be convected out or radiated out. It can go a bunch of different places. Now, let's bring back in our example of a generator. And so now we're going to add in even more steps into that overall efficiency of a generator. So now we have the efficiency of a combustion equipment, the thermal efficiency, how much of that got to going to where it needed to go, and the efficiency of the generator. So we can see that for a power plant, there's a lot of things that go into this. And interestingly enough, even though I have all these steps, I have an easier time figuring out what's going on. Because if I know exactly how much fuel I've burned, how much energy that fuel had, and I know how much power I'm producing net, because remember, it takes some power to actually keep the cycle going, I can figure out my overall efficiency for that system without having to take into account every single intermediate step. Now, if you're trying to improve the overall efficiency, you're going to have to look at each individual step. But if you're trying to figure out the overall one to begin with, then you can just do it from looking at the end result and how much energy you put in through the fuel. And just as a couple of little details here, generator, mechanical energy to electrical energy, and overall efficiencies for most power plants are actually pretty decent. They're about 60%. And put in comparison, for your car, it's about 25 to 30%, or for like those diesel trucks, it's 35 to 40%. So power plants are doing their best, and we're constantly finding new ways of reducing any lost energy so we can keep on increasing up the efficiency of our factories. As a note, it will never get to 100% efficient. We can't be 100% efficient, because right here for thermal efficiency, this can never be equal to 1, at least in real life. It's always going to be less than 1. The reason for that is something called Carnot's law, which we'll learn about soon. Not quite yet, but we'll learn about it soon, and it tells us why we can't get all the energy out of heat. And if you're really interested in power plants and how they produce power, take Thermo 2. If you're not, come the cool path with me and take aerodynamics. definitely better. Okay. Lastly, why do we care about these efficiencies? Because we're trying to conserve energy. Because, for example, if I have this hot plate and I'm trying to heat up this water, well, I'm using 5 kilowatts of power to do that. Only 3 kilowatts is making it into my water, and so I'm losing 2 kilowatts as waste. But my overall efficiency in that case would be 0.6 or 60%, because only 60% of my electrical power actually went to doing what I wanted. So think about that. 60% of the energy you just brought in through your wall did something useful. 40% was completely wasted. So we need to use high efficiency tools to hopefully reduce that waste, because it helps the environment. For example, when we burn fuel, which is happening regardless of you're burning in your house or not, if you use electricity, it's probably burning fuel somewhere to do that. It produces carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, which makes smog, carbon monoxide, which is toxic and kills you, sulfur dioxide, which causes acid rain. So we want to minimize the amount of these pollutants that are being produced so we can have a better environment and hopefully a healthier future. So another thing to think about is just that if you're using an efficient appliance to do the job, you're going to save money too. Like, for example, if I use a microwave oven to heat my food, it only costs about 3 cents. If I use an electric oven, it costs about 19 cents. That's based on the amount of power it's using to do the exact same tool. Now, does food taste the same in a microwave oven versus an electric oven? No, but you get the point here that if you can use a more efficient device, use that more efficient device so you can improve your carbon footprint. So I believe that's it for this time. Yep, it is. We got an example after this. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you all as we do the last example for Chapter 2. Have a great day. Bye-bye.